Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Multiplied podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. If you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Trevor Hummel. I am originally from Champaign. I moved to Bloomington-Normal to go to Wesleyan in 2019 and have been here most of the time since then. I'm now working in banking.
So, then you went to Illinois Wesleyan. So, can you walk us through that journey to get to Illinois Wesleyan and what drew you to the university?
Yeah, so initially what drew me to Wesleyan, I was actually recruited to play football there. I can remember the offensive coordinator was one of the only coaches that came to visit me at my high school in Champaign. I thought that was unique, and I really liked meeting with him. I ended up visiting campus twice and absolutely loved it both times. Aside from the aesthetic and kind of the academic reputation, as well as the athletic reputation of the university, I liked that I had family not far. I had family in Bloomington, so we came to Bloomington growing up for holidays and things like that. Again, my parents were not far in Champaign, kind of just far enough away that I could visit for the weekend, but not so close that I'd be spending too much time there. Originally, actually started in pre-physical therapy. I switched my major late into freshman year to finance with a minor in economics. And I think it was then the second semester of my freshman year, we got sent home for spring break and never came back because of COVID. So after that, for a while, classes were either on Zoom or completely asynchronous, kind of self-guided classes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of tough to do that, but it helps figure things out and on your own, getting to know the subjects a little bit more in depth with a little less hands-on help. But
Yeah.
we got through it.
Wait, what year in school was that for you?
That was my freshman year. And then COVID kind of lasted through, I'd say, late into my junior year. So a solid 2 years of COVID in college.
Okay. Yeah. That's always a journey. I feel like COVID always gets brought up in these podcasts with like some type of effect to that person. But
Yeah.
so you had a couple internships in college. I have down you had an internship at Beer Nuts and then SBDC, and that is located on Illinois Wesleyan campus. So can you kind of share like how those internships kind of shaped your career path and just the experience that it gave you?
Yeah, I hate to bring it right back to COVID, but it wasn't a ton of internship opportunities. I can remember my first internship opportunity was completely online with a company that was founded because of COVID to give internship opportunities to students who were looking. That kind of helped get my foot in the door with Beer Nuts. We were looking for an accounting intern. I knew at the time the career path. I didn't want to go into accounting, but knew that there was a lot of value in the skills of accounting. I mean, they're directly applied to finance. Accounting at Beer Nuts gave me a strong understanding outside of that, of cost accounting. So accounting on a unit level basis and kind of understanding like project planning and budgeting for projects and choosing between different alternatives that are going to be big capital expenditures. It was also the first time I had a firsthand experience with the local business that had a nationally sold and very widely celebrated product. And then the SBDC, I remember being super excited for that one. I essentially worked as a marketing consultant for local small businesses, various needs at various stages of their business cycle. Some were just starting out with a flagship product. Some had been, in a storefront for a few years. All of them had a marketing need that they maybe weren't sure how to fulfill. So this was my first experience I had working alongside business clients, kind of with an extended period with a long-term goal in mind, which is something that I do all the time now in my job now. And it was also through the SBD internship, I met with a mentor that kind of nudged me in the direction. I knew I wanted to do commercial banking, but he kind of nudged me towards my first job, what ended up being my first job. I didn't know it at the time, but he had worked at that company for a while and told me they had a good credit program. And that was what led me to apply there.
Okay. Okay. I'm curious when it came to the internships, did you find these internships through your career center or did you go to job fairs that were held on campus? I'm curious.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
I think the beer nuts, yeah, I guess both technically they were from the career fairs. I met both through the career fair. And then usually what happens is after the career fair, the career center would send out job opportunities for these employers. You're handing them a resume physically, but actually applying for the job, you still have to do it online no matter what, really. So yeah, I use the Career Center a lot in college.
I was gonna say, my next question was kind of just like, how did the Career Center help shape, um, life after college for you when it came to that?
Yeah, good question. I can remember the first time I went to the Career Center. Patrick Zajac helped me build my resume virtually from scratch. What I had wasn't really that great, and he made it look pretty good. And even though I was only a freshman at the time, but he was kind of the one who encouraged me to chase internships early and often. He was also very good at gauging what kind of experiences or what kind of roles I was looking for, uh, based on maybe vague descriptions. Because I was a freshman, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that finance was a pretty vague, or I guess there's a wide net. It's a broad field, so there's a lot you can do with a finance degree. Um, so kind of talking with him about some of the options I wanted to explore, and he'd always have it in mind. And when an internship or even a job opportunity would come up, he would send it to me directly and say, "Hey, thought of you when I saw this come up.
Yeah,
But you might be interested."
that's nice.
And aside from that, they had a ton of tools that I used. They had like practice interviews. Sometimes they would even host employers that would come to the university and do on-site interviews, so they would facilitate those.
Nice. You received a couple of job offers right after graduation. What ultimately led to Bloomington Normal? Because I know that the other job offer was not here.
Yeah, so actually, I had 3 job offers out of college, all for the same job. I was going to be a commercial credit analyst, kind of the entry level role in financial analysis to commercial banking. All were different banks in Illinois. There was one I had the option of Springfield or Champaign, another in Oak Brook in the suburbs, and then here in Bloomington. I didn't really have much desire right out of school to go to work in Springfield or in my hometown. So it was, yeah, it was kind of down to Oak Brook. Um, to that bank, they were a good bank, about I think 2 or 3 billion in assets at the time, in a very desirable area of the suburbs. I clicked with everyone I talked with there. The one in Bloomington was a little bigger, which I liked. There's more opportunity for the bigger banks. And I only had one interview with one manager. Again, this was the mentor from the SBDC, kind of put me on to their credit program, which has a great reputation, even with other banks. And one thing I thought was interesting that I didn't get with the other interviews was they had a technical piece of the application process that was very unique. They had you actually look at essentially what's like a mock credit analysis and kind of give your thoughts on it. What are the strengths and weaknesses, that kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Because without seeing details of the job, sometimes it seems very vague. And so to actually get to see like, oh, this is what I'll be working on when I'm on the job was pretty cool. And then I was actually offered a bit higher for the job in Oak Brook, and I was on the fence about both, but ultimately chose the Bloomington Bank because the salary I was offered compared to the cost of living was actually better here than it was in the suburbs.
Cool. Yeah, that would be definitely a reason to choose one over the other. So you did that job for what, a couple years? A year?
Yeah, I did that job a couple years. They actually ended up moving me to Champaign briefly, and then that was
Yeah.
when I ended up getting the job I'm in now,
Yes.
which the shop, First Financial Bank, brought me back to Bloomington.
Yes. So then let's talk about your role at First Financial. Can you kind of just walk us through what do you do? What's your day to day? And
Yeah.
are you loving being back in Bloomington Normal?
Well, yeah, so I'm loving being back in Bloomington Normal. I'd say in short, I'm a small business banker, first of all. So essentially, my role involves working with small business owners and real estate investors who need financing. So I guess the day to day on another high level, I might talk to a business owner about an opportunity they have but need financing for. So I will kind of review their information to vet their creditworthiness. I'll structure the loan that they're asking for accordingly to whatever the situation is, and then make sure everything is buttoned up for the closing, which is a very legal oriented process. And then after it closes, managing that relationship over the life of the loan and kind of beyond. So there's other work that goes into loans even after they close. Keeping financial information up to date is a big one for financial regulators like the FDIC and the OCC. Common financing opportunities that we see for small business in Bloomington might be like equipment to scale up their operation. It might be purchasing real estate for them to operate in. Could be working capital. or whatever their needs are. And another one that we're seeing a lot more of are small business acquisitions.
So then what do you find most rewarding about the work you do?
Yeah. Kind of the core of most financing opportunities that we see are they're all growth oriented. So they're going to take the business to, it might be better service or better product. It might be faster, more efficient, but it's satisfying to have a customer come to you that might be very optimistic about an opportunity that actually ends up working out. Not only that, but the projects we do are all geographically local. So that means I can drive down main roads in Bloomington-Normal. I can go down to Wanda, Main Street, College Avenue, and see a direct result of the value that I've provided to clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, I mentioned acquisitions before. I think they're kind of my favorite right now. There's a lot of fun to work on, and they're really common right now because the boomer generation is retiring and their business might not have a succession plan. So they might not have anyone to pass it on to. And the deals themselves can be a bit challenging, but borrowers are always so excited to work with you on these acquisitions. And making the deal work involves a bit more creativity than like a equipment purchase or something like that.
So do you, when it comes to your clients or maybe just connecting and networking with those small businesses or just anyone in general, how do you get involved with those small businesses? Or is it more of just you're waiting for something to come in or are you approaching them? I'm just curious.
Yes. Pretty much they'll come
All
from
the
all
above?
different ways. Obviously our branch managers are close. They get daily interaction with customers and it might be a conversation of like, oh, I'm having this influx of business and I need to purchase this equipment and I don't have the money for it.
Okay.
The branch manager might, refer them to me saying, we can help you out. Let me have you talk to Trevor. It could also be through just connections, all different ways.
Yeah, a couple different ways on how that goes. So then what advice would you give for maybe a recent grad wanting to get into that like banking or financial field?
Yeah. I would say while you're in school, double down on your accounting skills because it is absolutely core of finance. And if you can put yourself in a position outside of class to get a practical application for it, then it will pay dividends. And kind of the same thing would apply to operating a small business. If you can get some direct exposure to how a small business operates, that will take you far. Because understanding a small business is really the core. Like getting to know the customer is obviously one of the best ways to understand the business, but you need to understand the business to be able to understand how you would structure a loan and what obstacles they might run into. Because again, the bank has to mitigate all these risks. Any business carries inherent risks. Something bad could happen and it could close. So banking is all about mitigating those risks and providing essentially safe investments to the bank.
And then
And I
go
would also add to that for not just banking and finance grads, but in general, once you get into the workforce, don't stop learning. If you aren't learning or getting challenged on a regular basis, then you aren't growing. And to me, that's boring. So keeping things interesting will help a lot.
sure. Fair enough. How are you involved in the Bloomington Normal community?
Yeah. A few different ways through work. I'm in some networking stuff. Like I go to the McLean County Chamber of Commerce events, either after hours, before hours. Also in the leadership McLean County class of 2026. Some say it's the best class ever.
Yeah, we all say that.
Yeah, but we're the best. So
Okay. Class 2024.
I'm also in another group called Professionals with a Purpose. We meet twice a month and have two nonprofits come and talk to our group. And at the end of every quarter, our group votes on which nonprofit we like the best. And our membership dues go directly towards as a donation towards that nonprofit. And they're all local nonprofits, I should add. Outside of work, I'm in the warmer months. I like to do like rec league sand volleyball. I was actually Kegler's Pub champion in the spring season of 2024, I believe.
Cool. And then where are your go-to places in town? What do you like to do?
So I think for like food, Mugsy's has my favorite wings.
So
Egg
good.
Republic is probably my favorite overall restaurant.
You said Egg Republic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I also really love the atmosphere at Fiala Bros.
Yeah.
If I'm going out for the weekend.
Yeah.
If I'm getting coffee, I don't drink a ton of coffee, but if I do, I like Coffee House in Uptown.
Okay. Yeah.
This is not really in town, but close to Bloomington, north of Normal by Hudson, I guess. My favorite fishing spot is Evergreen Lake, so that's my happy place.
Well, yeah. I mean, still McLean County, so counts. Counts. Okay. And then just for our listeners here, so Trevor did a video with us. What was that? Maybe last fall, just kind of about like outdoor life in Bloomington Normal. So definitely head to our socials and check that out. It's also posted on YouTube as well. There's a full video. And then Trevor, do you have anything else you would like to share?
I would say if you haven't already checked it out, one of my favorite things all time about Bloomington Normal is the Make Music Normal festival that happens every summer. If you like live music, this is absolutely for you. There's multiple stages across Uptown Normal with live music going constantly. It's awesome. It's a great time. Would totally recommend checking that out.
And then I'll put your information in the podcast link if someone wants to connect with you, whether it's on LinkedIn or if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure thing.
Okay, so I appreciate you taking the time and coming on the Life Multiplied podcast.
Thanks for having me, Courtney. I appreciate it.